this is a trolling rod with the line counter, and we talked about this last night. Generally on these trolling rods, you just need a little snap. So you hook your bait to the snap, you reel the bait all the way up to the tip, and then you reset this line counter. So we found the recipe that's working is 33 feet back with a number 7 flicker shad. Feel free to experiment. You know, maybe that's not working today, but that's one of the things that you adjust, how far back. That's going to determine where the bait runs in the water column. So a couple things that I want to touch on. Yesterday we got a couple snags. And what a snag will look like is all of a sudden the board will shoot back really fast and line will start spooling out. You have to address that immediately. So most of you are not going to be running a lot of lines. So, you know, this star thing on these trolling rods is the drag. So once you set them, you want to be able to pull line out. See how I can't pull any line out here? That drag is too tight, so I'm going to back that off so I can pull some line out. So if you get a snag, you should hear this. So you can either like try to keep the line from spinning out, tighten down the drag and see if it'll pull out. There are times where your line breaks, you have to go back and get the board. You know, if you have to go back to get the board, you got to hurry and reel up other lines right away before you turn around. Does that make sense? So make sure that the rods are properly placed in the rod holders. You know, I've seen a lot of people make mistakes with my rod holders where they're not in all the way. So check with your boat owner to make sure, get that little tutorial on how their rod holders work. Because the last thing you want is one flying out. So what a bite looks like is the board is, sometimes it's even hard to tell. The board just starts going back a little bit. You know, if a salmon bites it, you know, there's going to go shooting back. If it's a big fish, it can shoot back, but sometimes it's just, you know, shoots back a little bit. There's a whole other feature to these called the tattle flag. I'm not going to talk about that today because there's too much information thrown at you, so we'll save that for a different class. So what you need to know is how to put these on the line. These are called releases. This is the release. And there's different types of these. I use specific ones for salmon. These are kind of a popular one. These red ones are popular in these orange ones. They all have a special purpose. The red ones have a pin in the middle of them. These are sometimes hard to open, but you can see there's a pin in there. So when you clip this on the line, you have to make sure that the line is behind the pin, because this is what keeps the board from falling off the line. If a board falls off the line, which has happened in the past, you have to turn around and go get it. You always want to have your name and your phone number on these, because I lost one in Sheboygan and someone called me from Two Rivers 2 weeks later because they found it. So especially if it's wavy, all of a sudden you can't see it. If you do lose a board, someone's in the boat's job is to get the other lines in right away so you can turn around. Another person's job in the boat is to keep their eye on the board so you know where it is. So generally the one's for the left side and one's for the right side. So if this is my boat and I'm pulling it, this left side is the passenger side of the boat. You can see how it's designed, and what it does is it pulls the line away from the boat. Now these rods have 3 features. This is the bail, open, closed. This is the clicker. I would recommend that every new troller 100% of the time leave this clicker on. So if the bail is open and the clicker's on, it clicks. So if I see a board that's out and I want to have it go out a little further away from the boat, all I have to do is walk over to the rod and the rod holder, and it'll just go out further from the boat, clicking. If I go to one of my rods and I open this hoping that'll happen and the person didn't have the clicker on, all this line is going to free spool out. It's going to look like a bait caster rat nest. So general rule of thumb, when you're new, keep your clickers on at all times. If the boat captain or someone wants to adjust something, they can just open the bail. It's going to click out. No problems. Whenever you do anything with these, keep your thumb here in case someone didn't do that. And that way it's going to prevent the backlash. It's very kind of a simple mechanism. So I have loaner boards for those who need them. Most of them have this snap clip on. And how this works, I'm going to put my bait out. I'm going to be standing this way on this side of the boat because it's going this way. I'm going to put the line inside here. Someone can help me and I'll show you. Of course. If you want to stand this way. So I have the rod here. My 33 feet is out, and this is right where I want to put the board. So the line is going to go through this black snap. I'm going to wrap it around there once and close it forward. Now I'm going to take a little bit of space line here, and I'm going to clip this red one back behind the pin. And then you just make sure that's not sliding. That's right. No.
You're backwards.
Huh?
You're backwards.
Oh, no, I'm...
Yeah.
Just imagine it's like...
Oh, yeah, the bait's over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bait's over there.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah, the bait's behind the boat. Yeah, so if you go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
But then that'll be backwards.
Hey, babe,
Yeah.
you were in the wrong spot.
I know.
So anyway, did everyone understand that?
Yeah.
Now, when you're reeling in a fish, I see what you mean, I'm backwards. When you're reeling in a fish, you have to unsnap this. So who's ever reeling a fish, the other one comes up as this board is coming in, and you unclip the front one, and then you unclip the back one. What you don't want to do is unclip the board like you have the line down here, and you're unclipping the board. You don't want to do this snap. You want to make sure that there's, when you take that off, you're not affecting this at all, because that's how you lose fish. Yeah, you want to just stop reeling, keep your rod tip up, and unhook the board. You shouldn't have any of this kind of stuff. Make sense?
I recommend practicing squeezing that red release because it makes you feel like a wuss.
I always tell everybody, just reel to my hand. If I have, I'm taking off, just reel right there and then I can let go.
Yeah.
That's perfect, yeah.
So this little clip here, the yellow ones don't have the pin in it. So if this one's going out to the side and I have a fish, I can just give the line a little snap. It's going to release from this one. The red one will hold it, and now I'm not fighting the board. Most of you are only going to be trolling with a couple rods, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you have 6 rods out and you get a fish on the far one, if that board is pulling against you, it's hard to bring that in without hitting the other rods. So, this kind of takes practice. It takes a couple days on the water. I don't want to throw too much information at you because most of you are brand new to this. So, if you're just fishing 1 or 2 rods, if a far one goes, what you can do is you can open the clicker on that and just let one go back further, and then this one will come in. You kind of keep them out of the way of each other. And it just takes some practice. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself. As long as you don't lose a rod or, something happens, just kind of play with it and see what works. Now, these are all loaners. All of them have my phone number on except this one, so we won't use that unless we need it. Now, remember when Zach mentioned the stern planer board with the bottle that runs straight off the back of the boat. You can send that way back if it's not a crowded area to fish. These are those clips. So you just take your Mountain Dew bottle, tie with the cap on, tie a piece of fishing line around the rim of the cap, put about a foot of line out and tie it to this clip, and then clip this to at your 33 feet. Once the clip is on, then you can send that way behind the boat. So if anyone has a bottle, they want one of these clips, I have extra. So I have clips, I have releases, I have repair parts in case you have a planer board that needs a screw or something. And we also have these mini boards. Now, if you're new to trolling and you want to experiment a little bit more, maybe you want to troll with your kayak, you can troll from shore. These little mini boards are reversible. All you do is take the thing out and put it in the other side. Simple.
That's a great idea. Those will be good if you're in your boat and you're holding a rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not these fish that we're catching, these would be fine with that. You just have to, these are set up for a variety of different styles. You can have one where it releases at the front clip and slides down, or it stays solid and then you got to take it off. Wide variety of releases for a wide variety of applications.
Barb, I have a question. What is the front and what is the back?
This is the front, the V.
This is, okay. And then you clip the line to this here?
Well,
as
this particular one,
Barb, on those, doesn't the weighted part go on the bottom, like the thicker part?
I don't,
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can see the angle.
Ah,
so this one would have a release
Yep.
that it just pulls out, and this one would be stuck to the line.
got it. Okay.
Okay? So, what's that?
I use those in the kayak too.
So, whatever I loan out, I don't want to have to write it down, just make sure I get it back. Make sure my name and phone number's on it. If you have your own boards, write your name and phone number on it before you start. So, oh good, a Sharpie. Perfect. So, Lori just mentioned that the area we were planning on fishing has about 150 boats on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go past that. Actually, a couple can do that university shoreline before frying pan. Yeah. And then some can go north of that. So I don't recommend getting in the mix of 150 boats if it's your first day trolling. That could be problematic. Feel free to take some boards if you need it. Now, if you want to say screw this, I hate this. Get your rod out and just start casting a jig in plastic, or one of the two baits that you got yesterday. Remember the casting tips that you learned on the shoreline yesterday? If it's a jig and a minnow, it's just kind of a slow retrieve back. If it's one of the hard baits like the Tika minnow or the echo tail from Vibrations Tackle, you kind of snap those up. They'll come up, they'll go down, they'll come up, they'll go down, and you should feel that. You should feel that blade bait kind of vibrating. And that's a good thing to do too. Everyone can just cast with their regular rods off the shore or off the side of the boat. Just try to stay in that same, 5-6 feet of water all along the shoreline. So
Cast to that, don't keep your boat there because you don't want to be too close.
yeah, or you can cast, depending on the wind. Generally, if you're spot locking, your nose is going to be in the wind. You fish an area. I take it off spot lock. I'll drift back down, and then or you can, depending on the wind, you can cast and drift. So those are, if you have a crawler harness, just put it on a bottom bouncer and you can just kind of drift or go about 1 mile an hour. That's it. You'll get fish that way, probably some big sheephead too.